There's been a lot of despair, a lot of negativity lately when we talk about dermatology private practice ownership. I believe after you watch this video, you're going to have more hope. Not only will you have hope, but you'll see some actionable things that you can do that'll positively affect your bottom line and fight against some of the negative forces that are working against your private practice. Let's jump right into it. So first, we need to bring up a framework that we'll use to discuss why you should be hopeful. Stephen Covey has a framework called the circle of concern and the circle of influence. He describes the circle of concern as everything you care about or are affected by, regardless of whether you can do anything about it. This includes global issues, organizational matters, and personal concerns. For most people, this circle is quite large and contains many things beyond our control. However, the circle of influence is a smaller circle nested within the circle of concern. It comprises the things you could actually do something about, either directly or indirectly. This includes your attitudes, emotions, relationships, decisions, actions, and habits in immediate environment. The key insight is that influence can be both direct and indirect. So let's start by first defining what are some of the circles of concern for us as private practice owners. There is a huge list. I don't have to go through all of them, but I'll go through a few. One of the key circles of concern is insurance reimbursements rates, specifically Medicare. We all know that 2026 is set to have another decrease in Medicare reimbursement. Now, this is not something that any of us are excited about, but it is a reality. We can't do anything about it. Another thing that's key in a circle of concern for us is the rising cost of supplies. Sutures are more expensive, gauze are more expensive, hand sanitizer, Clorox wipes, everything is more expensive for your clinic right now. But we can't do anything about that. Another thing that we can't do anything about is the increasing presence of private equity. I found myself complaining about this with fellow dermatology practice owners and the things that private equity is doing that's negatively impacting the derm world. Although, side note, if you own your own private practice, because private equity is effectively reducing the supply of dermatology practices, your practice is more rare and therefore potentially more valuable. Another thing that all of us are seeing that we don't like, that we can't impact, is the rising cost of technology. Our EMR costs seem to go up every single year. And although I love EasyDerm, we work with EasyDerm. EasyDerm is no different than almost all other EMR companies where the cost is typically going to go up over time. Another thing we can't fix that's in our circle of concern is the administrative burden required to provide the care that we provide. There's going to be PAs that are going to need to be done. There's going to be medical scribing that's going to be necessary. There's going to be a ton of activity that's required that's not specifically working with a patient, but is required to be in regulatory compliance, or at least even just to get paid on the work that you do. And last, I could go over a ton more, but the last I just thought about is we cannot control what insurance companies are going to cover. So we may have specific treatment plans that we think are the best for patients, and insurances don't cover for whatever reason, causing the patient to either not get the service or to get a big, huge bill that then you become the culprit of because they got this big, huge bill that their insurance company didn't pay. So what can we do? These truly are concerns that have a negative impact on the day-to-day running of your private practice. Well, one thing that my wife, Dr. Mercy, and I do, and that we haven't mastered yet, we're still working on this, but one of the key things that we try to do is not to get discouraged. It's easy to go down the rabbit hole of lamenting about all of these things that are happening and playing the victim and blaming our local representatives or blaming, the AAD, or blaming somebody else, blaming capitalism in general, blaming our healthcare system. You could do all of those things. Your blaming may be correct. It may be true, but it's not going to help you in your private practice. And what we found is that when you get down in the dumps, it prevents your ability to be creative. It lessens your ability to problem solve, to figure out a way to come up with solutions. Support for the Dermbiz show comes from EasyDerm. If you're a dermatologist or part of a dermatology practice, you know how critical it is to have tools that make your workflow seamless. EasyDerm is revolutionizing dermatology with its intuitive EHR solutions, designed specifically to simplify your practice operations and give you more time to focus on patient care. Their system isn't just easy to use, it's built with dermatologists in mind, making it the perfect choice for practices looking to streamline and grow. Want to learn more? Head over to easyderm.com to see how they can help you elevate your practice to the next level. And here's a little insider tip. Tell them the Dermbiz show sent you. Also, before we jump back in, here's a quick reminder to make sure you're connected with us on all of our other social media platforms. We share other content on those platforms that's going to help you grow and build your private practice. We believe that we need more doctors in leadership positions in private practice ownership, and we believe that our content is going to help you get to where you need to go. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe on all of those platforms. All right, thanks for listening, and another big shout out to EasyDerm. Now let's get back to the show. So in an effort to maintain the high spirits necessary to be an entrepreneur, an effort to fight against the negativity that's out there in regards to the financial viability of running a private practice, specifically a dermatology practice, we are going to discuss the things that we have control over, the things that Stephen Covey says is in our circle of influence that we can directly impact, that can fight against some of those outside forces that are having a negative impact on our private practice. So what can we do? So one of the first things that we try to do is we try to be efficient with the scheduling of our team, specifically with our payroll costs. Now, most likely in your private practice, your number one expense is going to be payroll. So you want to make sure that you're paying your people well, but you want to make sure that you paying them well matches up with the level of work that needs to get done. You don't want to overhire or have people underutilize because you have too many people. Our personal rule in our private practice for a Gen Derm day, now this is different what my wife does when she has a Mo's day, but for a Gen Derm day, the general rule is one provider per two support staff. And our support staff is cross-trained. So that means two people who are admin slash medical assistant who can do both. We found that when we keep the ratio like that and see the amount of patients that the provider in that team is comfortable seeing, that's going to be based upon the experience of the provider, the experience of the team. We set the cap on how many patients we're going to see by starting with the number of support staff we're going to have. We made the decision that each provider is going to have two support staff, and whatever we can see from there is whatever we can see. This effectively caps our payroll in a way where we know where our payroll is going to be. And then as our team gets more efficient, as our team gets better, they can see more patients, but that more patients is based upon their own individual ability. So by doing this, you are effectively looking at and you're being efficient with your biggest expense, which has a direct impact on your bottom line. The next thing that we found that we could do is we can become even better with our staffing by offloading some of the low value but necessary tasks to remote workers who have a medical background. And so we have a virtual team right now. We have 6 members on our virtual team that help us from everything from scribing notes to answering phone calls to reminder phone calls to prior authorizations to all of the non-patient facing activities that we can offload from our in-clinic team members. We pass on to our remote workers, and this has been a huge impact in efficiency. It's been a huge help for the people who are actually in the clinic seeing the patients, and overall, it's had a huge impact on the profitability of our private practice. Another thing you could do is try to form strategic partnerships. Maybe you're a dermatologist and you don't do Mohs, but there's somebody who is a Mohs surgeon who you may be able to cross refer some things to, or maybe there's a local family practice doctor around who you may be able to work with, or maybe there's a hospital. One thing that we do is we serve a pretty rural area, which a lot of the hospitals around do not have dermatology. So we've partnered with several of those hospitals, and we treat their patients. We rent space out from them. We cross refer for them. So we send patients to their lab. We send patients to their in-house pharmacy. They refer patients to us so they can have somebody on the spot, oftentimes being able to see their patients same day. And so it drastically reduces our cost of acquisition for finding and acquiring new patients. Another thing that we realized we could do is we could leverage technology better. Whether it's telemedicine or AI scribing, these things have a direct impact on reducing your cost, and also expanding your scope, specifically with the telemedicine, where you can see people who you may not have otherwise been able to see due to the geographic restrictions. Another thing that we found that we can do is we can improve our hiring process so we can find and retain higher quality people. Like, we realize that when you have a team of high quality performers, it reduced the cost of turnover, of retraining new people. It increased the overall brand of your private practice, which is directly a marketing benefit. If people get a chance to see familiar faces that do a very, very good job, that helps add into your word of mouth. And so it's a huge benefit to your private practice by focusing on getting better at hiring and retaining high quality people. And overall, one of the key things that we can do is become a better boss. I mean, let's be honest. Most people, when they quit any kind of job, they usually don't quit because of the work. Oftentimes, they don't quit because of the pay. They're not quitting the job, they're quitting their manager or their boss. And so, gone are the days where a dermatologist or a doctor can say, I just show up and do my job, and everybody else should show up and do their job. There has to be some kind of component of building culture, building relationships. We're not necessarily talking about being a pushover. We're not talking about giving your staff everything that they want. We're talking about the combination of setting a high standard of performance, a high expectation of excellence, while also building a relationship to let people know that you care about them personally and individually, and they can also trust you in what you say and what you do. And so the purpose of this video was to remind you that you have more control than you believe. You have more agency than the mainstream media says, than what social media says, than what some of the Facebook groups say. We don't have to sit back and be a victim to what's going on in the economy, to what's going on with insurance companies. We still have some levers that we can pull to ensure that our practice is still strong financially and strong culturally. I hope this video helps, and I hope it gives you a little bit more hope for the future success of your private practice. I mean, let's be honest. This can't be that bad of a business model with so many private equity companies clamoring to buy as many dermatology practices as they can. I hope this video helps. Keep the faith and keep providing that high quality care that we know derm owners do better than anyone else. And that's a wrap for this episode of the Dermbiz Show. We hope you found today's discussion insightful and packed with value to help you navigate the challenges of running your private practice. We'd love to hear from you. Is there a specific topic you'd like us to cover or a question you want answered? Reach out to us at thedermbiz@gmail.com or drop us a message on social media. Your input helps us tailor the show to what matters most to you and your practice. Speaking of social media, don't forget to follow us on all of our platforms for updates, bonus content, and tips to keep your practice running smoothly. And of course, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode. Thanks for tuning in today, and we can't wait to have you join us again the next time. Until then, take care, keep thriving, and we'll see you the next time on the Dermbiz Show.